You're listening to School Counseling Simplified, a podcast with easy-to-implement strategies for busy school counselors. Here's your host, Rachel Davis from Bright Futures Counseling.
Let's play a little game of Would You Rather, School Counselor Edition. Okay, would you rather spend your weekend planning a group or spend your afternoon sitting in irrelevant PD? Yikes. Or would you rather be the only counselor with no one to collaborate with, or to spend hours searching online for engaging activities? All of these options are pretty bad, right? But unfortunately, they're all too real. But what if I told you I had a solution for you? What if I told you I had access to hundreds of school counseling lessons, groups, and activities, counselor-specific trainings on the topics you need most, and a community of like-minded school counselors to support you? You would say, yes, please. Well, that is what Impact is all about. Impact is my monthly membership for school counselors, and it helps you with all of these things. You get access to hundreds of resources. That's unlimited free downloads. Log in and get what you need right away to every single resource that's in my store. We add new resources each and every month. We're adding a new middle school and elementary resource each month, and some of these are bonus Impact exclusives, meaning that you can get resources just for members. You can request resources that you need and easily search so you can find exactly what you're looking for. And let's talk about the trainings, counselor-specific trainings on the topics you need most. We do these each and every month as part of our Coffee with the Counselor series. Impact members get to join for absolutely free. You earn PD certificates and you get exclusive access to members-only things like the Ultimate Small Group Experience and our Summer Summit Conference. And the community. Y'all, this is possibly my favorite part of Impact. I so look forward to jumping on these calls, to getting to know counselors who are similar to me and also completely different. It's so fun to hear from your experiences and your challenges, and everyone brings a unique perspective to the table. We have an exclusive online community, and we even have a cool app where you can chat with other counselors in these community circles. We have our monthly calls, like I mentioned, twice a month, and we share wins, troubleshoot tough cases, and just talk about what it's like to be a counselor, because so often we're on our own island at our school sites. So if any of that sounds like it's for you, I would love to see you inside Impact. Go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact to solve all of your counselor problems. And I have a special offer for my listeners. Use code POD at checkout to save 10% off your first month. Okay, let's go to today's episode. You're listening to another episode of School Counseling Simplified. So today I'm wrapping up our data series by talking about quantifying the sessions provided versus quantifying student progress. Now, I kind of did a teaser of this in the last episode. If you listen to that one, I kind of alluded to what we were going to talk about this week. But I'm so excited about this. I hope you've learned a lot in this data series. And for most of the series, we've been talking about how to quantify student progress. So using things like self-assessments, behavior surveys, things like that to kind of see how students are performing as a result of your counseling service. Like, are their behaviors improving or not? Are they understanding the concepts or not? We're kind of assessing, how the students are doing, how their progress is as a result of our counseling services. But there's another piece I want to talk about, and that's quantifying sessions provided. Now, quantifying sessions provided is basically just how many kids you see. That allows you to advocate for your role and show a need for your position. And this data shows who you're seeing and how you're seeing them. And it's great information to have when you organize your end of the year report, like I was talking about last week. So a few ways, if you're trying to say, okay, how do I quantify the sessions provided? How do I track which kids I'm seeing? Well, there's a few different ways. The first way is with your calendar. Now, I love to use a Google Calendar. I love digital things, and I love Google. But even if you use another calendar, you can use this to track your students that you're seeing. It's a great way to stay organized while logging your visits with students. So what I like to do is I go in there and I have it color-coded. So all my individual students will be the same color. So I'll have, like, for example, Monday, individual with Nelson, individual with Cheyenne, Tuesday, individual with Monique. They're all purple. And I have them in there for their time slot, 30 minutes, something like that. And then I have in there my class lessons, and they're all the same color. So for example, maybe this month I'm doing kindness lessons. So Monday I did kindness with first grade. Tuesday, kindness with fourth grade, each 30 minutes long. And then you can look at your groups. So put your groups in a different color in there. And you're saying, okay, I met with my groups for 30 minutes. I did 2 groups this week, one on Monday, one on Thursday, something like that. So this is a really cool way to see how often that you're seeing the students. Now, you do want to keep it updated. So if a session's canceled because the student's not there, delete it off your calendar. Or if there's a holiday or a school break or something, delete it off your calendar. But this will be helpful because when you go back at the end of the year to see how many times you met with that student, so for example, Cheyenne, you would click the search, the little magnifying glass on the Google Calendar, type Cheyenne's name, and you'll see in there the dates that you met with her and the times. You'll say, oh wow, I met with her 8 times for 30 minutes each. Boom, right there. So it's a really easy way to track that. And again, you could do this on paper as well, but I find making edits to the appointments easier on a digital platform. So if you're going to do it in paper, at least use pencil so you can erase. Another way to do this, a little more precise way to do this, is with a counseling log. Now, a counseling log can be as simple as a spreadsheet. I have a template for one that I'll link to in the show notes. It's called my Counseling Hub. It's a caseload spreadsheet and counseling log combo. I highly recommend it if you're trying to get organized. But your counseling log, you'll just keep up on your computer. When someone comes in, you have the date. So for example, you'll have like, okay, today I saw Blake. The area of need for Blake was self-regulation. I saw him individually for 20 minutes. And then you can do a brief little write-up of like strategies that you use. Also today I saw Grant. Area of need was friendships. He was one of my small group students. I also saw Rachel and Miranda in the small group, friendship small group too. And you would have each of them on there for 30 minutes or however long the small group went. So you're going to have each student you saw, even if they're in the group together, each one listed out individually. And that's another great way to track how many times you saw that student. This one's a little more accurate because you can actually put the duration. Where your calendar, you're going to put like, okay, we're scheduled for a 30-minute group. But you know how it goes. Like if, the group is only 15 minutes that day or someone's late, or if you want to get like super precise, you could put in like you saw them for 20 minutes or 25 minutes, which I guess you could do that on your calendar as well. But the weekly counseling log also offers a little more information because you can put like the area of need, the type, whether it was group or individual, and then any like notes to remind yourself like what you did with that student. So I honestly use both. I have my one for my like schedule, and then I have the other one to show like who I saw that actual day. If you have a student sign-in sheet, that kind of works the same way. Students sign in, and then that works well for drop-in students. That is a benefit of the log versus the calendar, is your calendar is going to have those reoccurring people on it, your small groups and your individual, but you're not going to put a drop-in student on your calendar, where a drop-in student would be on a sign-in sheet or on your counseling log. So, a kid stops by, something you didn't expect, a student you've never seen before, and you spend 30 minutes with them, you can still put that on your log. The caseload is another great way to stay organized. So the caseload, you put in there facts about the student, their name, teacher, grade level, area of need, counseling type. And so when you go at the end of the year to add it up, you can just see, okay, I saw, this is the list of students that I saw. So you can share that data in something like an end of the year report by saying, I saw, 30 students this year, 20 of them were in small groups, 10 of them were individual. Something like that. So those are some ways that you can quantify the sessions that you provided. Now, when it comes to quantifying the student progress, so this is basically just showing if they're improving or not and how they've been doing since they've been in counseling with you. So these are things that I've mentioned earlier in this session or in this podcast series, but just for a review, things like self-assessments, behavior surveys to send to parents and teachers, things like that. So the self-assessments you're going to send at the start and the end of group, or the start and the end of individual sessions, to track what they already know and then what they've learned as a result of counseling. So can you name 5 coping strategies? Or you could even put some like subjective feelings-based ones in there. It's like, I feel sad more often than I feel happy. And then we can assess how that's changed as a result of counseling. And then for the behavior surveys, so these would be topics or questions based on a topic. So for example, self-esteem. If you're doing a self-esteem group, you could send a behavior survey home to parents and send it to teachers, and they would rate on a scale of never, rarely, sometimes, often, and almost always, of things like demonstrates self-confidence, has high self-esteem, is motivated to reach your goals, effectively communicates with others, things like that. And then you'll track how they've changed as a result of your counseling services. So that can be really powerful as well. And then, of course, the coup de grace, my fave thing, is the end of the year report. And you can use both of these data points in your end of the year report. So you can communicate the services that you provided by sharing how you provided direct services with students, how you supported teachers, whether that was through lessons, maybe behavior plans that you did, how you supported parents through parent meetings, parent education workshops, and how you collaborated with the community. So community service events, career fair, so on. Those are all ways that you can communicate the services that you provided. Also, you want to communicate your students' progress in your end of the year report. So you can touch on things like the self-assessment data, the behavior survey data, attendance data, anything like that, observation data. So I hope you found this episode helpful when it comes to quantifying the sessions that you provided versus quantifying student progress. Let me know if you have any questions. You can always reach out to me on Instagram at Bright Futures Counseling or via email, rachel@brightfutures-counseling.com. I would love to connect with you and help you guys feel more confident and prepared to track your data. Okay, I hope you've loved this series, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening to School Counseling Simplified. You can find the links from today's episode in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with Rachel, she's on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers at Bright Futures Counseling. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes of School Counseling Simplified. Talk to you next week.